Hey guys, it's Sharmise Idris here, and today we will be making some bath bombs scented with some rose gold fragrance oil. We are going to use a scale today just so that when we replicate it, it will be the exact same every time. And then of course we need a container so that we can mix the ingredients. And I'm also going to use this strainer here because I hate having clumps in my final product. Here's the formulation for the bath bombs we'll be making today. First up, we're going to combine the baking soda, citric acid, SLSA, kaolin clay, and pink mica. So every dry ingredient but the gold mica. I just want to give a quick background on why I chose the ingredients I chose. In order to have a bath bomb, you need to have the baking soda and the citric acid because the combination of these is what makes the bath bomb fizz. I've also added SLSA for a foamy lather. It just helps it bubble up more than just fizzing. And then the kaolin clay I added just to harden my bath bomb a little better. The micas that I'm going to use today are Strawberry Moonshine from Mad Micas and then Matte Gold, which is also from Mad Micas. And I actually got this one for free. I have not used it yet. So right now I'm just going to add 1/4 of a teaspoon of the pink mica, and it won't show up as well because my mixture is not wet yet. But if it's still not pink enough once you add in the wet ingredients, then you can add just a little bit more pink mica. Next up, we're just going to mix it all together, and you can see that I'm doing it by hand, but you can also use a stand mixer or like a whisk. Typically, you'll see me mixing things by hand. I'm just so used to it. But when it comes to mixing my liquid ingredients in, I do like to use a whisk. So let's go ahead and do that. So first up, I'm going to add in my carrier oil. I am using sunflower oil today, but I also love to use grapeseed oil. That's my actual favorite oil. But you can also use another liquid carrier oil of your choice. I wouldn't say this is my binder. I just like to add the carrier oil just to help soothe and soften the skin. It just feels good. Next up, I'm going to add in my emulsifier, and in this case, it is polysorbate 80. I add this in for two reasons. So the first reason is to mix the carrier oil and the fragrance oil into the water better, so your bath water. And then I also add this in so that when you drain the water, the pink mica is not just creating a pink ring around your tub. I typically do half the amount of the carrier oil, so in this case I did 10 grams of sunflower oil, so I'm doing 5 grams of polysorbate 80, but you can actually go up to 10 grams. Next up, we're going to add in the fragrance oil. I know you can't really see it, but it's rose gold from Brambleberry, and that's what the bath bombs are named after. As you can see, I do like to measure out my oils and my polysorbate 80 directly into the container with the dry ingredients. But when it comes to my binder, which in this case is my witch hazel, I do like to do that in a separate container and then add it into the other bigger container. And this is because if I add a little too much witch hazel a little too early, then I can ruin all of my bath bombs. So I just like to do my 5 grams in a separate container. Now I'm just going to add in my witch hazel. I'm going to do this very slowly, and I'm going to mix while I'm doing it because the witch hazel does make the bath bomb mixture react. After you add in that witch hazel, just go ahead and mix it up, and I will be doing this by hand. And at this point, if you see that it is not pink enough, this is when you can add a little bit more mica. I know someone may point out the fact that you can add all of the liquid ingredients into a separate container, mix that up, and then add that into the dry ingredients so that you don't get a reaction. And that is perfectly fine. I just don't like to do that because story time. One time I bought a 50-pound bucket of citric acid. I always get the same brand from Amazon. And this one time my bath bombs did not bubble up. And the only reason I knew this is because I added the witch hazel separately. And so when I mixed it in, there was no fizz. And so after more investigation, something was going on with the citric acid. So I found that that $200 bucket of citric acid could not be used for whatever reason. It didn't look like it was exposed to moisture, but something was going on with it. So basically, I like to add the witch hazel in separately and get that reaction just so I know for sure that my citric acid is doing what it's supposed to do and I'm not wasting my money. But don't worry, I did get my money back though. Today I'll be using my trusty bath bomb mold that I got years and years ago from Kata Molds. I'll add the link to the description below. And this is going to be the 2.25, so 2 1/4 inch mold. Also, the bath bomb tray that I'm using today is from Bulk Apothecary. If you have bigger bath bombs, I highly recommend this tray. And even for my size, it's okay. The only thing that I don't like is that my little Saturn rings, so the rings around my bath bomb, they tend to break if I don't put them in this tray like perfectly straight up. So you'll see that with my second bath bomb actually. In order to fill up the bath bomb mold, I'm going to fill it up all the way and then I'll just add a little bit on top. I don't typically pat the mixture in on purpose anyway. So as you can see, my fifth bath bomb actually broke apart in the mold, and typically this means that your mixture is too dry to bind together. So now we need to add a little bit more binder. But before I do that, because I don't like to add more witch hazel than I need to, I'm going to mix up my mixture once again. And in this case, it was actually successful the second time. But for my sixth bath bomb, it broke apart again. So I decided to go ahead and add just a little bit more witch hazel. And if you add this into a spray bottle, it is much easier, but I didn't. And also for mixing sake, just do it in a wider bowl than I did, because I'm trying to put both of my hands in this bowl and it is just not as wide as I need it to be. But it got the job done. One thing I forgot to mention earlier is that once I mix in the witch hazel, so either the first time I add the witch hazel or if I have to add more, I like to firmly squeeze the powder together in my hand and then press down with my thumb just to see how hard it is to break apart. Now, if I don't add any pressure and it just breaks apart, I know I need to add more witch hazel. But if it takes just a little pressure, just like it did just a second ago, then I think I'm good. With this size mold, you can make 7 bath bombs, and if you have like thicker Saturn rings, then 6. But I think you got it by now, so I'm just gonna skip to the end. Alright, so here's a closer look at that second bath bomb where my Saturn ring broke because of the tray. Yeah, it'll be alright though. But now I'm just gonna let this sit overnight, and then I'll be back tomorrow to put a little decoration on top. Alright, so here are the finished bath bombs. Well, almost finished. Now we're just gonna add a little gold mica to the top, just a little brush stroke of mica. So let's go ahead and do that. Because I've never used this mica before, I'm just going to do 1/8 of a teaspoon first, just to test the color, to make sure that that's the color that I want on my bath bomb. So I'm going to add 1/8 of a teaspoon of the matte gold mica into a container. And I just like to do containers that I'll throw away. And then I'll also add a little bit of 91% isopropyl alcohol as well. And the brushes I got are from Walmart. Before I put it on my bath bomb, I will just tear off a piece of parchment paper, and on the non-glossy side, I'm just going to do a brush stroke of the gold just to make sure that it's the size and the color that I want, and then I'll do it on the real thing. Now that I know that I like my color combination, I'm going to add in the other 1/8 of a teaspoon of gold mica and just a little bit more isopropyl alcohol. Instead of a brush stroke, you can also do a drizzle, but we'll save that for another video. Alright y'all, this is what the bath bomb looks like, and here's a quick glimpse of what it looks like when I drop it into my sink. Also, I just want to do a quick shout out to my people over on Patreon who help support this channel. Make sure you check out their links in the description below. And thank you guys so much for watching. If you've gotten this far and have not subscribed, please think about subscribing. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Alright y'all, bye.